Hello everyone, we from the group 5 and we are going to present our material about language variation and change. Here are our members and let's get right into it.
The traditional view of language change is largely about external motivated change, which means that language evolved due to outside factors, like social shift or contact with other language. Two models explain this process. The first is the tree model, which visualizes language as branching from a common ancestor, like a family tree. This helps show how language develop distinct characteristics over time. The second is the wave model, which represents change spreading outward like ripples in water, influencing nearby language or dialects. Both models highlight how external factors drive language change and shape the way we communicate.
Some changes in progress. Language changes is progressive and linear. Despite mass media's homogenizing influence, linguistic changes are accelerating, making dialects in cities like Boston, New York, and Los Angeles more distinct. For example, spread of jugular R in Europe. Historically, Western and Northern Europe used an apical R. In the 17th century, a uvular R spread from Paris, becoming standard in French, German, Danish, and others. Second example is the vowel merger in US English. In the Western US, the distinction between vowels and pairs like cock and cot is disappearing, particularly among younger speakers. Older speakers may retain some distinction, especially before consonant. Next point is the Northern Cities Vowel Shift, or the NCVS. The NCVS is prominent in cities like Syracuse, Detroit, Chicago, and Milwaukee, settled during westward migration from New York. Vowel changes included bag sounding like bag, hot sounding like hat, and cock lowering to resemble cot. Next is the social factors. Younger middle-class women and some young African American women selectively adopt the NCVS for social mobility, using it in specific contexts rather than fully integrating it. And next is the case study in Milwaukee. In Milwaukee, words like bag and haggle sound like bag and haggle, reflecting the NCVS. Several research shows younger speakers fully adopting the shift, while older women lead the changes among older speakers, signaling the gradual loss of vowel contrast. Next point is changes across space, urban center, and physical value. Linguistic changes spread from larger, culturally important cities to smaller towns and rural areas, sometimes leapfrogging between major cities. The spread is based on relative population densities, following a city, town, and village pattern. For example, the example from the Fens of England. In the Fens, towns like King's Lynn and Wisbech influence surrounding rural areas, but a dialect divide exists, showing that even small physical barriers can limit the spread of linguistic changes. Next is barrier diffusion. Physical barriers such as river or hills can block linguistic diffusion. Though river can also edit, national boundaries like between Detroit and Windsor, Canada also prevent the spread of changes like the NCVS. Next is national identity and resistance. In southern Ontario, Canadian children may adopt the American Z for Z, influenced by the US media, but revert to the Canadian Z as they age, reflecting a reinforcement of national identity over time. Next point is Martha's Vineyard. William Labov conducted a study with the intention to study vowel changes in Martha's Vineyard residents using data from the 1930s and his own 1960s surveys. And it found that centralization of diphthongs "au" to "e" was strongest among residents aged 31 to 45, particularly in fishing communities. These changes was linked to a desire to assert local identity against summer tourists. There are also follow-up studies by Blake and Joshi with the objective to replicate Labov's study using updated methods, and they found that by the 2000s, the local dialect had weakened as Martha's Vineyard became more tourist-dependent, with residents adopting tourist-like speech patterns losing the original social function of vowel centralization. There are also other studies by Pop et al. With the objective to test whether apparent time studies reflect real changes, and it confirmed that apparent time studies are accurate in tracking language changes, with Labov findings still relevant, though the rate of changes had accelerated over the decade. There are also comparisons with Ocracoke Islands. The situation, like Martha's Vineyard, Ocracoke Island men maintain traditional dialect features to assert local identity, and it finds that, though the island dialect is fading, locals, particularly those who socialize frequently, resist these changes. Unlike Martha's Vineyard, where the dialect evolves to distinguish the local from tourists, Ocracoke Islander maintain traditional speech to resist external influence. Next one is gender and language changes. Men tend to lead change towards vernacular form, while women lead changes towards the standard. Third, Joel suggests this is due to women being more status conscious, with their speech judged more than men, who are evaluated by action. Third, Jill's study in Norwich found that women overreported their use of prestigious form, while men underreported. This pattern were consistent across social classes, suggesting gender drives the difference. Cheshire study in reading also found that lower-class boys use more non-standard syntax, with tough boys leading the use of non-standard verb ending. Hayri's study on Kairin Arabic also found that women led the change in palatalization in Kairin Arabic, which varied with social class and education. Private school students showed less palatalization than public school students. And the last point is language changes and linguistic marketplace. Language carries symbolic value within social contexts. Different forms gain or lose prestige depending on their social utility and power dynamics. For example, in the UK, received pronunciation aka RP has traditionally been highly prestigious, while non-standard form hold value in informal or local contexts. Labov observed that women tend to favor prestigious language form more than men, especially in societies where women's roles are more fluid. This shift is often driven by women's need to navigate social structure for status. Eckart's perspective argued that power relations, not just prestige, explain gender differences in language use. Women's language use reflect broader social inequalities, and while economic changes might not immediately alter power dynamics, language changes can persist beyond a shift in economic status. Gall's study on Oberwart. In Oberwart, Austria, young women led a shift from bilingualism through predominantly German. German was associated with higher social status, and young women rejected Hungarian as it symbolized lower status. The general trend and motivation. Firstly, social aspiration. People adopt higher status language form to align with prestigious group. Next is identity and solidarity. Language is used to mark group identity or resist external influence. And next is linguistic marketplace. Language adapts to fit social and economic conditions. Last is participant variability. Language changes can be driven by different groups, often led by the young, but sometimes by older individuals or other social roles.
The process of language change can happen in different ways. One concept is change from above and below, where change from above is influenced by more prestigious social groups, while change from below starts in informal speech, often undecided at first. Social network theory explains how language change spread through connection within social groups. Higher, denser networks spread in faster. Lifestyle also plays a role, as people's lives shift due to technology migration. Their language evolved too. Finally, there's lexical deviation, where sound change happen gradually in certain words before spreading to others. This process highlights how social factors and gradual shifts language evaluation.
Okay guys, thank you for the watching and share your question. Bye bye.